Good evening and welcome to today's special Q&A session on Leadership Satsang. I'm your leadership coach, Yukti Kapoor Mehndiratta, warmly welcoming you to an open house where you are free to ask me any question you want and any challenge that you're facing in the space of leadership or spirituality. That's what this platform is all about. It's an extension of what I do very passionately with corporates and business owners, and that is to help them become better leaders and learn how to build more leaders. That is what makes every organization a better organization, a great place to work, which is the vision that drives me to do whatever I do. So, thank you so much for being open to learning, for being open to improving yourself, for being willing to become a better version of yourself. And that is the reason why you're connected with me. That is the reason why you're here in this leadership satsang today and week after week after week. So, a big thank you to all the supporters out there, all the leaders who understand that leadership is all about being a student forever, who understand that lifelong learning is not a hashtag, it is the attitude with which we do whatever we do. Being open to learning means being able to drop this baggage of success that I have accomplished so much, I have achieved so much, I am these many years old, I know already. And that is where learning stops. And when learning stops, growth stops, which is not going to happen for you all because you're here with the intention to learn. And I have no doubt about that. So thank you so much for coming back to Leadership Satsang. We will open the house for questions in a bit. But before that, we will do what we do every single time. And that is to bring ourselves into this moment completely. We do that by chanting Om together 5 times. If you can, please recite this loudly in your own space if you can, so that you can feel the vibrations, right? So when you say Om, you create the vibrations, and the gap, the silence between the two chants is when you can experience these beautiful vibrations. So are we ready? Give me a ready in the chat, and I'm going to open another window to check if you all are as ready as I am to get you deeper into your own self and bring in some more insight in the space of leadership. But before that, being here completely with this chant, Om chant, that we will do together. Okay, ready? If you're ready, give me ready in the comments, please, and I will know that you're ready. And if you are, take a nice, beautiful, deep breath in. Let's take a nice, deep breath in. And breathe out. And know that everything will be okay. Even if it's not okay, it will be. Let's take a nice, deep breath in. And relax. And as you close your eyes, please scan your body if you're feeling tight, uncomfortable somewhere. See if you want to relax any part of your body. You may want to sit differently, readjust yourself, and take another beautiful breath in. And breathe out. So, whenever life is just going all over the place, come back to your breathing. That's all you need to do. So let's forget whatever happened before now. We will see whatever happens next. But in this moment, let's take another beautiful breath in. And as we breathe out, we will start the chant together. Breathe in. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Rub your palms together. Till you can feel warmth between your hands and then gently place them on your eyes, ears, and face, neck, and shoulders, and your entire body, and slowly come back. I just feel so fresh. Every single time I come back from this chant, I feel like I've just taken a shower. I feel like so fresh in my heart, in my mind. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Where are you in this moment? Let's have some quick comments in the chat. I will also put it out on my phone because there's a little bit of a lag sometimes, so by the time you write and I get it takes a little while. So this is your question to show up to me. But that doesn't stop us from doing what we have to do, what we're here to do. So as I look for your comments, I want you to quickly add in the chat, how are you feeling in this moment? And where are you joining me from today? Which part of the world are you in today and how are you feeling? Let's have that in the chat. Let's know where we are and then we will know where we want to get to. Yeah, let's have very quick comments, please. Good to have some of you here live already. Thank you so much for joining in. Wonderful. All right, so as the comments show up for me, let's also open the house for any questions that you may have. You can put your questions down in the comments and I will pick them up in the same sequence and do my best to help you deal with this challenge that you're facing, knowing that facing challenges is a part of life, right? The fact that you're facing a challenge confirms that you are not restricted within your comfort zone. क्योंकि comfort zone में तो कोई challenge होता ही नहीं है. Comfort zone में तो comfort होता है. Comfort to do what you have been doing for a long time, what you know very well, right? So if you continue doing that, where is the challenge? Challenge only comes in when you try to do something different, when you try to do something better. So if you're facing any challenge in life, you should first congratulate yourself because that's a confirmation of the fact that you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone. And that's how we move towards growth. So this zone between the comfort and the growth is the fear zone. When we are unsure, uncertain, unaware of what's in store, what's going to happen, how far is the next failure? Because only after that do I know what it takes to be successful, isn't it? So if you're feeling or experiencing any amount of fear because of what you're doing, knowing that you don't know too much about it, it's a very good sign. It's a very good sign because only then will you do what needs to be done to learn more, to get better, right? And that is what adds up to our growth. That is what confirms our growth. That is what ensures our growth. So it's great if you're facing a challenge. And if you are, I would love to know what that is. So share it with me in the comments. And in the meantime, I want to spend a little time on the spiritual aspect of leadership. We're doing this public speaking conclave in Delhi. By the way, if you're in Delhi, just reach out to me on DM, give me a direct message on LinkedIn, and let me know if you're interested to join us for this event. It's a public speaking conclave where people who have completed a 12-week public speaking mastery course with me will take on the stage as speakers. And we will have professional speakers who will sit as jury and give them what we call as a feed forward, which means this is where you are and you're doing great by bringing that learning to practice. And this is what you can do to get to your next level. So that's what's happening for them. But there's a lot more in store for those in the audience, because they will get to learn a lot about public speaking. And it will also be a great networking opportunity, not only with the speakers, but with a lot of other entrepreneurs in the room. Right. So that's happening in Delhi on 4th of May, first half of the day. So if you can make it, let me know. I would love to welcome you there and host you for this conclave. So, while I was talking to the jury, inviting them to be a part of the event, we got talking about spiritual leadership. And I realized that it's been a long time that I brought it up in our satsang sessions. The reason why I chose to call it as a leadership satsang is because I believe that you cannot keep spirituality away from leadership. In fact, if you ask me, I see spirituality right in the center of it all, right in the middle of our understanding of leadership. Because leadership is a responsibility that an individual takes upon themselves, right? To be a better version of who they are. And that hunger, that curiosity to be a better you is what? Is spirituality. But to me, spirituality is the reality of your spirit, the reality of your spirit. And what is spirit? Yourself, the self, the I mean that we call it, right? So that's who you are. But do we really know who we are? Because we've understood ourselves through the lens of other people. As we grew to an adolescent age from the infant that we all were at one point, we have learned to learn about ourselves through what people had to say about us, what made us a good girl or a good boy, and what actions led to being called as a bad girl or a bad boy. And so we created those beliefs and that understanding about yourself. These authority figures who have a lot of influence on us in the early childhood days, they pretty much define what we consider as our own identity. Think about it. These initial years, the formative years, when people are telling you this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do, this is what you're good at, this is what you're not good at, and that becomes our own belief. The endless comparisons that we make with our children, even as parents, we don't realize it. I'm telling you, I'm guilty of it as well. And I have to be so mindful, so mindful to not do this. Having twins doesn't make it any easier, but even if you don't have twins and you have two kids, and among siblings, you will see there is this sense of competition because they are compared with each other. If one person gets 90%, the other person gets 70%, there's an immediate comparison. Hey, look at that person. Right? So what is all this doing to us? This is defining who we are in our head here. We start understanding ourselves basis how people see us, how people understand us. And so if you think that in your life, you have really established an independent viewpoint about yourself, think again. Because it feels, and it feels as if we have created our own independent view, our own assessment, but a large part of it is influenced by how we are perceived by people, how we are accepted and received by them, what they have told us about who we are. That has had a very great and deep influence on our understanding of what we call as our own identity. And then as we grow older, it only gets worse. It only gets worse. Why? Because then our visiting card is handed over to you. That becomes your new identity. Why? Because in a society, every time people don't ask each other about who we truly are and how we really are in life. How are you is the most hollow question that you will ever answer for anybody, because most of the times people don't even wait for you to answer how you actually are, right? It's just a very formal tick in the box. How are you? And you're supposed to say, I'm fine. And after that, what's the next question? So what do you do? So what do you do? And what is that? That is when you pull out your visiting card from your pocket. Or in other words, you tell people what you do professionally. Isn't it? That's what they're interested in also, by the way. They're not interested to know anything more than that about you. So they're asking, what do you do? Which means they want to know what work you do. And that work becomes my identity. I am the vice president. So if I'm not the vice president, who am I? I don't know. And so what happens? I get into a shell. I'm not comfortable talking to people till I have a title before my name. Think about it. Think about how little you know about yourself. And the more you feel inclined towards knowing this self that you are, the more spiritual you become in your practice, in your thoughts, in your attitude. So spirituality is not something that has to wait till retirement, when you have sorted everything else in your life. And now you think that this is the time to talk all this spiritual stuff. I think spirituality is something that needs to be seeded into a child's system as early as you can, as soon as you can, because it anyways gets adulterated. It gets negatively influenced by all the multiple versions that people have of who you are. And when you don't have any version of your own, you'll end up accepting a mix of what you get. And that's what takes you further and further away from your own reality, the reality of your own spirit. And hence, spirituality is the essence of life and leadership. So, the more you spend time on understanding yourself, the more purposeful your life will be. There'll be more meaning to whatever you do. The best way to spend time, or what I consider as time well spent, is the time that you spent on reflection, introspection, meditation, sitting in silence, connecting with yourself, focusing on your breathing. These are some of the few real moments of life. Everything else is a way for us to keep our mind busy. That's all. So if you've not connected with the reality of yourself, then I don't know what leadership are you demonstrating and what leadership are you executing in your role. Because the you who's doing it is unaware of himself or herself. And if that is the case, then how can you bring in the authenticity? Are you getting what I'm saying? Because authenticity is the most important thing in leadership, to be yourself. But how can you be yourself if you've hardly understood who you are? So who am I is a question that gives rashes, allergies to people. I'm telling you, like, I get this very strong reaction sometimes from people that, oh my God, I mean, this who am I and all of that is very complex and boring self questions, irrelevant for my life because my life is going very well. So I'm a successful person and I'm happy with that. I'm happy for you if you're happy with that. But I do hope that you come to a point of realization where you know that true happiness is about understanding yourself. And that is why I wanted to put together a platform that doesn't just talk about leadership, but also spirituality, because it is the spiritual you who is leading in this physical body. That's how it is, right? Whether we understand this or we don't understand this, this is the only version that is true. So the more you connect the two, the more you bring the two together, the easier it gets for you to add purpose and meaning to whatever you do. And then what follows? Happiness follows, peace follows. There is grounding, there is humility, there is centering, things that we have to sometimes struggle for, isn't it? We keep looking outside of us for some more peace. If people do something different, I will be peaceful. If people do something for me, I will be happier. It is always about what others have to do to make me feel the way I want to feel. And that is where our entire lifetime gets spent sometimes. The earlier we get to a point where we realize that all of it resides within me, the easier it is for us to experience the way we want to experience our life. Please understand what I'm saying. It's very, very important that we stop and think about what I'm saying here, that we understand how spirituality is right in the middle of everything you do. And it has to be experienced. It has to be understood by bringing in a certain practice in your life. The spiritual practice that gives you that tool or technique to connect with yourself. So you need to take this time out. And if you're not taking the time out to connect with yourself, then where is your time being spent, I wonder? Where, भाई क्या कर रहे हैं हम ऐसा लाइफ में कि हमारे पास अपने लिए ही टाइम नहीं है, ब्रीदिंग पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करने के लिए टाइम नहीं है, मेडिटेशन के लिए टाइम नहीं है. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time to sit and reflect for 15 minutes on some important questions. I don't have time to write my gratitude journal. कभी कभी जब हम एक चीज के बारे में बहुत ज्यादा बात करते हैं ना, तो वो थोड़ा स्टेल हो जाता है टॉपिक. यू फील लाइक, हाँ यार, ये दिस होल ग्रैटिट्यूड जर्नल एंड दिस whatever, monthly goals, etc. All that is good to do, but it's not real. It's as real as you make it to be. It's very, very real for people who've been practicing this for years now. Talk to them about why they're doing it. Are they crazy? They've been doing it for a long time. There must be a good reason. I've been doing it for over 8 years. And I don't know how many times in a day I say thank you. I think that's the only way I pray. That's the only way I do everything I do. And what does it do for me? It helps me stay grounded. It helps me to experience everything in life with a lot more essence, a lot more authenticity, a lot more reality to every real moment. What can be a better return on investment or a better return on this little effort that you put in just connecting with yourself, right? So I want to encourage you to do that with some level of discipline, some level of commitment, and you will see for yourself how it starts helping you in multiple ways. That's what it does. And that is what will add more authenticity to your leadership. So I call it spiritual leadership. And then people get a little confused with that. Spiritual leadership is, spiritual leaders, and which means the religious leaders. So I'm not going to go in that direction and tell you that spirituality and religion are different, because I know you know it. So I don't have to tell you that. But in our head, we are not able to see that distinction very clearly sometimes. So there are 3 principles of spirituality which needs to be practiced. So you can have many different spiritual practices, any that works for you, but it should have all these 3 principles as a part of the practice. And I want to tell you what these 3 principles are. You can remember them as 3S. They're also considered as the 3 pillars of spirituality. The first S is satsang. Satsang is sat ka sang, like in the company of good people. Like when you are in a discourse, or experiencing a discourse, or listening to a discourse, is when you're sitting with people who have a similar interest, right? Only those kind of people will be next to you, who are willing to be open to listen to these discourses, to challenge their way of thinking, to question their limiting beliefs. So when you're a part of this environment, is when it helps you, it gives you the power to open up from within, right? To be more open, more receiving, more accepting. So satsang is what we also call as the power of proximity. अलग-अलग तरीके हैं एक ही चीज बोलने के. What we are saying is the same thing. There are multiple ways of saying it. Power of proximity is what? That we are the average of 5 people we spend most of our time with. Now, if you're spending time with people who are open to not just learning, but finding ways to learn about themselves, it helps you and encourages you to that extent to learn about your own self. And that is what we call as satsang. So when you are a leader who wants to go deeper within, you will attract like-minded people, or you should find ways to be a part of such a community of like-minded people where they are on a similar journey, and they have this hunger that you do. And that's when it gets easier for you to stay on this path and in fact go deeper in the journey, right? So satsang is one very important part of spirituality. The second S is sadhana. Sadhana is dhyan. Dhyan is focus, concentration. Meditation is one way of doing that. But sadhana also brings along discipline. Without discipline, nothing is possible. You cannot do anything that is so critical and important in your life on best effort basis, isn't it? And I'm trying to do my best. That's not good enough. It's not about you doing your best or not doing your best. It's about just bringing in the discipline, period. That's it. You just have to bring the discipline in to do what matters to you, what is important for you. So if you know that connecting with myself for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day is important for me, you will bring that discipline in, and then you can choose how you want to indulge in the sadhana. Music can be a form of sadhana, right? Writing your thoughts and journaling is sadhana. Wherever and whenever you experience the flow is when you are in sadhana. And when you are in that state, you lose track of time and space. Like you forget how long it has been. You forget where you are. You're just immersed in this one thing where you lose your mind. And losing your mind is so refreshing, so liberating. This mind that just holds your strings so tight all day, making you feel the way the mind wants you to feel, even if it's not serving you. We've just not learned how to mind it. We keep talking all this monkey mind, this, that, mind is powerful, we have to mind the mind, but हम कुछ करते नहीं है ना इस बारे में. तो सच तो अभी भी यही है that your mind is your boss. That's the truth even now. So if whatever little break you get from this monster we have created here is a welcoming break, isn't it? And that happens when you experience sadhana. It brings in the ability to practice focus. And then you can take this focus, the ability to focus anywhere in any area, any aspect of your life, wherever you want to focus. Isn't it? So that's amazing. This comes in with daily practice. This is daily practice, like how you need food every day. You need to breathe in air every day. You need that every day, right? You don't need that, or you don't get that when you have time for it. You need it every day to survive. This is how important it should become for you to practice sadhana, for you to be a part of a satsang. And the last S is sadachar. Sadachar is good behavior. And good behavior means being mindful of how humble you are or not, how grounded you are or not, how inclusive are you, how well can you listen to people when they talk, how much do you respect others for who they are, how accepting are you, how soaked are you in the guilt that you carry, the regrets that you have, the shame that you hide behind. All of these are parts of who you are. And the more you're aware of these aspects of you, the easier it gets for you to manage your energy and the energy around you. We're going really deep now. Okay, so pardon me if I've not looked at your questions in some time, but if you have questions, please put it in the comments and I will take that up. But I think this is very important, and I'm going with my flow right now, getting a sense that we need to talk about it. So I hope you're finding this useful. And if you are, please say useful in comments and I will have a look at it to get that confirmation from you, because I think it's extremely relevant and important for us to learn how to manage our own energy. We're all forms of energy. Is that right? And energy can neither be created nor destroyed. We know that as well. So the energy that you are operates at different frequencies. There is amazing amount of research and study done on what are the different frequencies at which our energies play, and what is the impact it has on us, our well-being, our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Let me share something very interesting with you. Just give me a moment. I want to show you an amazing piece of work done by David Hawkins. He's written an amazing book called Power versus Force. It might look a little technical to you if you're not too much into this kind of reading, but I loved the book. It was an eye-opener at different levels and a lot that I learned from. And a very important realization of how energies play a part in whatever we do and whatever we experience in life. So he's come up with this chart, which basically demonstrates what we call as consciousness, right? So we're moving from almost a dead state, which is the tip of this pyramid, and you go up towards ultimate consciousness. And they've measured frequency, energy frequency, in all these levels, which change from one to another basis the emotions we experience. You see, emotions are experienced at a physical level, which means at a body level. You can feel the emotions, you can experience the emotions. Feelings are the meaning that you give to emotions, right? So emotions are at a physical level. Now, different emotions have a different energy frequency. Look at this carefully and you will realize that emotions like guilt, shame are just above a dead state. Like if you're like a dead body, you're a zero, right? But shame, guilt, if that's where you spend most of your time, most of your life, you are just a little better than being dead. Understand what I'm saying? Because there's no better way to say it. This is true. This is how it is. And then you work your way up towards ultimate consciousness as you move to higher levels of emotions, more elevated emotions instead of more survival emotions. When you move beyond fear, beyond anger, beyond pride, towards willingness, acceptance, and then being in the state of love, and then taking it further up to experiencing and bringing in joy, living in a state of peace, no matter what happens around you. And that's when you experience enlightenment, which is a 700 plus frequency. So he says that most of us, on an average, on this planet, we are at about a 210 average across 8 billion people we're talking about, right? So 200 is around courage. That's where you will see courage, the emotion called courage. So that's where most of the people are on an average. But there are many who are way below 200. And then there are a few who are above 200 as well. So what do we need to do? How do we understand this? We need to understand that these lower energy levels, these lower emotions do not serve us. The longer you stay in this state, the lesser is your ability to create anything worthwhile, anything meaningful. So what do we need to do? We need to move higher up. We need to move towards elevated emotions. And that is what Sadachar does for you. Focusing on Sadachar, focusing on being a better person, focusing on working upon yourself, on your spirituality, the reality of your spirit. That is where you will bring in more gratitude, more appreciation, more love, more compassion. These are higher levels of emotions. And this gives you higher energy. And when you have higher energy, you have the ability to create a lot more. Now we see the connection between everything that you hear and talk about. How much sense does it make when you see it all together? It makes a lot more sense when you start practicing this. The 3 pillars or principles of spirituality: sadhana, satsang, sadachar. And there is a way to bring this in with discipline, because without discipline, you cannot call yourself a leader. It's as simple as that. Then you could be playing a leadership role, but that's not the same as being a leader. And we understand the difference pretty well. So with that, let's conclude today's session. That's all the time we have. It was very important that we understand both spirituality and leadership, and the reason why I want to bring them both together on this platform I call as Leadership Satsang. I hope this was useful for you. If you have questions on this or any other challenge that you're facing, knowing that challenge is a good news. If you have a challenge, then do bounce it off, put it in the comments, and I will make time to have a look at it and see how I can help you with that. So till I see you next, take very, very good care of yourself. We're starting a new month. Next month, which is starting tomorrow, let's start with the new energy. Let's start with this deeper understanding of ourselves. Let us bring in some practices which can help us to enjoy this experience called human life. Take very good care of yourself, because you're special, you're unique. And if you know who you are, you have no idea what you can do and how you can contribute to the world around you. I hope you find a way to do that, and I'm right here to help you with it. Thank you for joining in today. I will see you next week, next Tuesday, with another important insight in the space of leadership and spirituality. Till then, please take care. God bless you all.